Okay, we just have to wait for it to show up.
There she is.
Carol, if you can promote that.
If she can move me in.
Yeah. All right, and your phone is muted. There you go.
Okay, I'm in. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now there's a little bit of an echo though.
I know I have to turn off my sound on my computer. Okay, that should be better.
Okay, I think so. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll call the meeting to order. Hi, everybody. Okay. So call the meeting to order. Do you move to approve the agenda, Julie?
Yes.
All right. I second it. The meeting agenda is approved. Do you want to move to approve the minutes?
Absolutely.
All right. I second it. The minutes are approved. Okay, so now we have time for public comment. I see Brad Smith is I think the only attendee. Brad, are you here for public comment? It says talking permitted, so you can, oh, there you are.
I'm not here for public comment, just to listen.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, Brad. Well then, moving right along. Wait, now am I looking at the right agenda? Yeah. Oh, so now it's an update from John.
Sure, and I'm going to try to be brief. I think we can be with this one. So a couple of things. One, we've talked about the Florence Schwimley Little Theater and its tie back to the state funding. And we had hoped that we would have some answers from the report from school facilities consultant, or not the report, I'm sorry, but our consultant, school facilities consultants, is doing the work with the Office of Public School Construction. We met with them a few days ago, and unfortunately, OPSC has not really given us anything substantive just yet. So our intent is to actually meet back with OPSC again in January and try to get a little bit of a better understanding as to whether or not we're going to qualify for the full state funding. As you recall, with the modernization of the Little Theater, DSA is now requiring that we do the seismic work on the house, which is ultimately adding probably $30 million to the project. So with that, we want to make sure that we're going to qualify for state funding before we commit to design and everything else on that, because we have to know that we have the means to pay for that. So depending on who is on subcommittee, you may hear more about this at the subcommittee level. If you guys stay on the facility subcommittee, if not, we'll be bringing this to board once we know more after we discuss it with the new subcommittee. Other projects right now, we are in the beginning phase of design. We have a bridging architect for the BHS parking structure with the tennis courts on the top. So that's a design build project. So the first phase is to work with our bridging architect. Once the bridging architect creates the documents and then works with CEQA to do an environmental impact report, from there it would go to the design build entity to then design it fully and build it. The bridging architect is the critical component of the documents. It's where the district really highlights and delineates what it is that we're looking to capture in design and what we would like to be built out. And they're the ones who really specify all of that for the design build entity. We're also in the design phase of the Natatorium. This is a project that we've been talking about for a while. We met with the design build entity last night on that one, and their DSA submittal was supposed to be next week. We don't feel that they're actually ready for that. They're a little bit behind, particularly on their structural drawings. So we've actually asked them to reschedule their DSA intake appointment so that we can see the full drawings and flesh them out on our end a little bit as well. The Natatorium has been such an issue over the years when it comes to different health and safety aspects and really just about student athlete comfort. We want to make sure that with doing this project that the DB entity gets it right. So we're not allowing them to push this through as rapidly as they wanted to. This will ultimately affect the construction schedule. And that's unfortunate, but we have one chance at doing this right. And I think that's more important than rushing the project through.
Let me just, can I just
John,
stop you there?
Can
Just
you remind me?
go ahead, Julie. Just so let's ask questions about
If you
those.
could remind me what it is.
Yeah.
Remind me what it is we're doing there.
The Natatorium project is, it started out as looking at just the mechanical systems that are in there, but it actually morphed into a lot more. So we've had issues over the years with not only water quality, but with air quality. And due to the original design, the way that the air systems are designed, we're actually recycling the air from inside the natatorium as a typical HVAC system does, which is filled with chloramines and everything else. And it's causing the equipment to break down, but it's also amplifying the level of chloramines as it goes through those air handlers and then comes back out. So it's a complete redesign of the of the mechanical system that's in there, new ductwork, new systems, new exhaust fans. It also, then what we started to do was we looked at the natatorium as a whole, and we recognized that that one building is the largest consumer of energy in the entire district. So we looked at that as being the district's first ZNE, zero net energy project. And I don't know that we're going to quite reach ZNE, but that's the goal. So part of that project, besides for all of these upgrades to the mechanical system, was installation of 375 kilowatts of solar across the entire eastern side of Berkeley High, which would actually get us to where we were zero net as far as electricity goes. And then we're also looking at the feasibility of replacing gas boilers with electric. We don't think that's going to be feasible. We don't think we have the footprint to get enough solar to heat that pool, but we are looking into that. We're also adding in a mechanical pool cover. Right now, there's a manual pool cover in there, but just because of the size and the sheer weight, it's never used. We're losing over 10,000 gallons of water a year to evaporation. So it's really, from a sustainability aspect and from a green aspect, the natatorium is our biggest offender. So we're trying to fix that problem at the same time as we're fixing the issues that are related to health and safety. And just to remind you, this is all a Measure I project, not a new Measure G project. This is one that we started talking about this over a year ago, and it's just taken a long time to get through contract docs and really to define what the scope is and try to keep that scope within budget to allow them to move to the design itself.
Is it being paid for out of Measure I?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And will it affect the water polo or swimming seasons?
We're not going to allow it to. That's why, ultimately, like I said, the delay with DSA will likely cause a delay in construction because we don't want it to stop the water polo or any of the water athletics. We will look to our neighbors the same way they've looked to us. If there's a small interim piece, right, where we might be able to finish within 2 weeks of start of season or something, we can look to Piedmont, we can look to Oakland. They've looked to us in the past to try to offset facility use, but we have no intention of disrupting an entire season.
Okay. My understanding is Piedmont's pool is offline for at least a couple of years.
I haven't heard that, but it's possible.
Okay.
I haven't heard that piece. They only came to us for this year, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. All right. Why don't you keep going?
Sure.
Unless Julie, did you have any questions, Julie, about anything? Okay.
Okay. Longfellow Modernization, as you know, we are in design. We pulled schematic design last time. We're still working through some value engineering on that, just because the original cost estimates came in a lot higher than what they should have. And a lot of that just has to deal with basically the current state as far as workers, as far as supply chains, et cetera. It's just very, very costly to do work business right now. So we're looking at that from a value engineering lens, but we also did our RFP for the leaseback contractor for that. And we have made a selection and we're bringing that to board. Bringing the leaseback contractor on this early is really significant in the sense of that they'll have a huge hand in value engineering as well as constructability. And with that being an active site, and it's going to remain an active site during construction, phasing is critical. And the phasing really needs to be determined by the leaseback contractor, working with not only facilities, but with the school administration as far as how we're going to work and where we're going to move people to do the work. So that recommendation is going to the board, I believe, on the 15th. I don't remember. It might have already went, actually, I don't recall. But the panel that did the scoring of the RFP and then did the interview, it was actually, our recommendation is going to be to go with Alton Construction. They're the same ones who are doing the Berkeley Community Theater. They scored very well. They interviewed very well. And it was just, they're definitely the right fit for the job.
We're slated to take that to board in January, John, just to refresh your memory.
Thank you. I knew we talked about it this morning and I couldn't remember. I'm sorry.
We talked about a lot of stuff, so that's okay.
When will the design come to the board? I would probably say, Julie, early January for schematic design, or mid-January. Like I said, right now, with where the cost estimate came in at, we really need to value engineer this and go through this. And Van Pelt has been really instrumental in this. They've brought in other team members who aren't necessarily assigned to Berkeley to help with this effort, to work with our design team. So I do want to give them a shout out and just thank them for that.
And will it go to the community?
Yeah, I totally, yeah, I mean, I totally get that. I was just wondering when you thought it would come out.
Yeah, probably January, I think.
And we'll go to will the Longfellow community have a chance to see before it comes to the board?
Usually not on schematic design, and that's
schematic.
what I explained to Robert Collier, but we are committed to actually going back to the community. The stamp of approval of SD from the board is a formality. It's actually not a requirement under Ed Code. It's just something we historically do in Berkeley. But we plan to go back to that community and share the designs with them.
Okay. And at least conveying that, I know you said it to Rob, but he's just one person. I just recommend, I mean, you've explained it to me and that makes sense, but if they hear schematic design is going to the board, nobody knows what schematic design is. So
yeah, we'll put something out through Paco to his community.
Okay, that's great.
No, it's a good point, and thank you. Other upcoming projects, so Sylvia Mendez, we did award that for design, and we're starting the design process on that, as well as some of the ancillary work like the geotechnical reports and whatnot, and I can allow Van Pelt to speak to that. And then there's a lot of small projects that are happening. As you know, we have the CTE projects at Willard as well as BTEC. Those are both in DSA. We expect to get Willard out of DSA in the next few weeks, I believe. And BTEC, I don't have an update when that's coming out of DSA just yet. And then West Campus Increment 3, just to remind you all, we had a third increment on that. We needed to add another elevator and do some additional work that DSA did not allow us to put into the project. So that is actually going to bid or it's being advertised in the next few weeks. We do have DSA approval on that. That will be bid in January, and we're really going to work through all the documents, all the RFIs, the request for information, everything ahead of time, so that can be done as a summer sprint impact or a summer sprint project with zero impact to the school community during the school year. With that, I can turn it over to Kelly and Prachi to see if I've missed anything. And actually, I do want to add one thing, I'm sorry, but just since Prachi is here, but since Brad is here as well, one, I don't know if you guys have had the chance to meet Prachi. So Prachi is a project manager with Van Pelt. She has a ton of experience with community outreach, and she's very skilled at what she does. Prachi has been assigned to actually start working on the workforce housing project. What we were seeing was a lot of the communication with Saha and Abode that was coming to me. There was just a lag in time, just as far as a capacity standpoint. So Prachi is running point on that right now. We actually just finished another survey to go out to the staff with Saha and Abode. We had a chance to meet with Matt Meyer. I've asked to meet with Frank. I haven't had a chance to meet with him, but we are going to send that out. That was supposed to have gone out yesterday, but Saha is actually still doing some cleanup on that. Basically, we still have not yet begun design beyond conceptual. We spoke with the attorney this morning. She's finalizing the legal documents finally so that Saha can start looking to commit funding for this. And then with that, then they'll really kick off the design process. Prachi is also helping with creating the guidelines or the description, if you will, for the committees that we intend to put together, and we want to bring those to the board for appointment. Those include not only a design committee, which is to help Saha Abode, and that includes members or our labor members from our labor partners as well as community members. But we also are looking to establish a governance committee to work with Saha Abode, again, our labor partners, our community, to really make some recommendations to the board on what to be considered within the terms of the governance of the workforce housing by the developer. And then I believe, talking to Dr. Stevens, we're going to look to create an ad hoc committee of the board, possibly you two. I would imagine Julie will definitely be on that, but one where Prachi and I can come to you guys at least quarterly and give you some updates. And then from there, we can also report out to the board. But by doing it through an ad hoc committee, we're able to just have a little bit more interactive conversation and get some feedback as well.
Julie, do you have comments about that?
Yeah, so that sounds great and really nice to meet you, Prachi. I look forward to the ongoing relationship. I just happened to be at CSBA tonight, of which I was on a housing panel with, oh my gosh, Robin from Abode. And so we were able to chat a little bit offline about just kind of like how to be group around community engagement and making sure that we've got all, our different folks at the table. And so I'm excited to hear that we've got someone on board now to help work on that. And eager to look at strategies around it.
Yeah, Prachi, it's nice to meet you. I wonder, John, since Brad is here, if it's worth, since this is sort of informal, just promoting Brad for a second, Carol, and just seeing if there's anything. Brad is sort of one of the representatives of the community that lives around the adult school. Is there anything? Well, first of all, meet Prachi.
I've introduced them. I've had the chance to introduce them.
Oh, good.
We also met at the meeting, the last.
Oh, okay.
Meeting. Yeah.
That's great. Well, I don't know, Brad, is there anything you want to share about what what from your perspective you'd like to see in terms of community engagement that either you have seen and appreciated or have not seen and would like to see, just so we can hear that and take it into account?
Well, just very quickly, the community meeting that we had, I thought went very well. The presentation was excellent. The questions and commentary were done very well. I was particularly appreciative that staff came forward by raising the objections as they understood, or concerns, I think is a stronger word in terms of the way the neighborhood feels. They have a lot of concerns about this project, not necessarily objections.
Mm-hmm.
So we were very appreciative that finally worked out, and it worked out very well as far as I'm concerned. In talking with other neighbors, they feel it went very well as too. We want to continue. We got some information here about how you're going forward, and we've had no communication from anybody since that meeting. That's of course disappointing. We feel pretty much out of the loop. And I think it's good for you to know that that's the feeling that the community has. We're out of the loop. And there hasn't been one contact from the school district, not one contact from any of the consultants, absolutely stone silent. It's not a good thing. It's much more helpful, and it'll be helpful to your process if you keep us posted about what's going on. Just, give us a call and tell us where things stand, because we just don't know, have no idea.
That's great feedback, Brad. I appreciate it. And if I may, real quickly, I think the meeting, if I'm not mistaken, was either 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't recall. But there's been no update because there's nothing to update. But to your point, the community doesn't necessarily understand that, right? Or know that. There's nothing to update in the sense of, because right now what we're working on is really engagement with our staff as far as a new survey. And then also it's still the legal piece so that they can hammer down their funding. So one of the things that we are actually doing is they're almost done actually creating a website specific for this, where once that's up and running, we will share that with the community so that we can update that website and people can go there and look anytime. And then as we have something substantive to report out, as you and I talked about on the phone, Brad, I'm absolutely committed to doing that. But I hear you loud and clear, and I do understand what you're saying. It's while I can take the position from the school board that you haven't heard from us because there's nothing for us to tell you, from the neighbor perspective, I understand that you don't know that, and that's got to be frustrating. So I get that. And beyond the website, we can try to look for some other ways to improve that.
Well, it seems to me that if you have some sense, you know, at the end of the meeting that you're not going to hear anything for the next 4 weeks because, you know, nothing is going on, or we're waiting for the lawyers or whatever, then there's you know, everybody knows there's an expectation. The fact that we haven't heard anything doesn't mean we're out of the loop. It means nothing's happening, and you know that. So sometimes you don't always know when the next communication is going to be able to be made, but when you do, that might help.
Let me give you a quick example here.
Sure.
We didn't know that you were about to put a survey out. I'm a sociologist. I've done surveys my entire career. I would love to look at that survey. We didn't even know it was going out.
I think this was a survey though for staff, Brad.
This is a survey for staff and interest and just what they're looking for, amenities.
And we have a great interest in that. The way questions are phrased is going to tilt the answers in particular ways. And you're going to do the survey that you want to do, but it would be very helpful, I think, in the communication if we at least had the opportunity to say, you know, in asking the question in this way, you're setting things up to have this this possibility of an end result. But we didn't know there was going to be a survey. 2, we didn't have any input into the survey. It's a concern. Now, and we didn't know about that. So that came up tonight. The fact that you have a bridging architect, a question I have is that the architect that's on staff that we know about, or is that a different person?
That's a different project, Brad.
Yeah. Oh,
that's a different project.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm sorry. Yeah,
no, that's okay.
I was vague on that, whether that was this project or another one. I was daydreaming and thought I'm used to city meetings, and usually you don't get on the agenda till much later, and I was doing something else.
Yeah, that was a different project.
But anyway, we appreciate you taking my comments now.
Yeah.
I certainly do. And this is the kind of thing I can go back to the neighborhood and say that you asked, you initiated, instead of me speaking up. And my plan was just to listen to hear what was going on and take that information back. But I find that very positive, and I will take that back to the community.
Okay, well, thanks, Brad, and thanks for being here. And you know, we want to do as best we can with engaging with the community, not just for show, but because we actually really want to engage with you all and with the neighbors. So, hold us to account. Tell us when we're, we might not agree. We might, might be that and we end up not agreeing that we need input on a particular thing, or we might agree, but we should be able to hear from you as much as we can, and vice versa. So,
I agree with that completely. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Is there anything else? We should move on, but do you have anything else you want to make sure you say while we do have you here, Brad?
No, that's fine. Thank you very much for providing me with this opportunity.
Yeah, of course. All right. Let's see. Where are we now, John? Are there any other projects to hear about?
I didn't have anything else to mention. I don't know if any of my colleagues from Van Pelt or Shanita had anything, but I think this one we're able to kind of keep pretty light.
Yeah, let me just think for a second if there's anything. Julie, do you have any questions about any?
I want to mention the CTE STEM video. Please check it out with the STEM Maker Wheel. Facilities put in a great time and a lot of time and effort working with Win to make that STEM Maker pipeline happen.
Wait, where is
and a lot of that credit definitely I would give to Shanita. I did all work, but Shanita did a lot of the heavy lifting, and thank you for that. And the video, I had a chance to watch it a couple hours ago, and it's actually really good. So if you haven't watched it, please do.
Nobody was trying to give you any credit, John, just to be clear.
I don't want any. We'll give it all to Shanita. That way, if it backfires too, it's right.
I want to thank Shanita for all the work that you did on this, and for Win. I mean, I think the team of you guys all together is really making for powerful progress on our CTE work.
I think I missed it though. Where's the video, Shanita?
I know Win had emailed it to us. I believe you have it. If not, I can send that over to you or Shanita.
Okay. Okay.
Or,
And
or
did-
it's coming out to the board soon, so maybe I
Okay.
mentioned it early, but it's a great video.
Did Win also just help us secure a bunch of money?
Yeah, Win is a wizard when it comes to these grants.
Okay.
So he did supply. He was able to get
Massive
more
rock
grants.
Okay, so we should make sure we publicly both thank him and announce that and everything. Maybe that's not this committee, but we should make sure we do that.
And per you and Julie's request, you can thank him and Shanita. Leave
That's
me out.
right.
And I think it also credit also belongs to Jezra as well, because I think that's a combined cooking and gardening / CTE grant. So that's exciting.
That's
Yeah,
great.
they've been partnering a lot on those.
Okay. And then my last question.
I think there's actually two that have been received. 2 grants. So,
There is, I
yeah,
believe.
I think,
That's great. One last question, John, on the solar stuff. I know that we had talked about at some point the general fund savings on electricity and stuff. Is that something that we're able to quantify and sort of account for in our budget planning, or is it too far off?
It's too far off. We're
Okay.
working on the RFP right now to get it out to do the district-wide solar, but it's by the time we have a contractor selected, we go to design build, we go through DSA, it's a multi-year process. So we
Okay.
will recognize the savings, but it's not something that we can recognize right away. And the timing of these, because I know it would be great to say, let's do them, right? Get it done. A lot of this that has to deal with the timing, we have to take into account the cash flow of when we expect to go to construction so that we do the issuances on the schedule that we have, so as we do not break our commitment to the community with the tax rate.
Right. Okay. I thought one of the other initial solar projects was going to be a parking lot at West Campus. Is that not?
No, that's not what it is in the list, but it's not one of the earlier ones.
Okay.
We have 3 campuses. I could tell you which
It's
ones.
all right. It's all right,
Okay.
John. It's all right.
Willard,
Willard.
hang on a moment. Ruth, Aki.
Ruth Acti, Willard, and there's one more.
Okay.
King
Okay.
Middle, right?
Yes, King. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good. All right.
And a lot of that has to do with the size that we anticipate to put in as it relates to going back to the cost to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. Wait, was that, so did we do projects progress and change order logs update? Is that part of what you did?
The change order log was uploaded. It's something that you can view. It typically doesn't change much, and it hasn't. The last few times we put it on the screen, you've asked us just to kind of move along. It's just to keep the subcommittee up, just to keep you in the know of where we are with the
Okay.
change orders. There's really been no change since November.
Okay. As far as the next meeting, we really don't know yet who will be on this committee, so I don't think we should schedule it because we just don't know.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so that leaves us with adjourning. So I think we're done. Does anyone have anything they need to say?
No, Ty, Julie, thank you guys for all your help and support with subcommittee. I don't know if you guys are going to be on the subcommittee next. I hope you are, but regardless, I just want to thank you. You guys have been really helpful and really supporting and just of all the projects and just really trusting us to do the right thing. And that's great. It's been great. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks to this whole team. It's great. Thanks for all you're doing.
it really is the best committee.
I love this committee. I mean, the audit committee
I have no
is fun.
desire to change. Oh, yeah, you do that.
All right, good night, everybody. Have fun there in San Diego, Julie.
Enjoy CSBA, Julie.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm on my way home tonight.
Oh, okay. All right, safe travels. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.